Cool.
We'll just wait and see. Nobody's watching just yet.
There's always the awkward bit at the beginning when you've got to wait for it to populate.
Just FYI.
Oh, it's recording. No, I know.
You ready?
Chop.
One
very
person's watching this.
Welcome, Faye.
Cool.
Alright, we've got 5 watching.
Woo!
Hello, everyone.
G'day, guys. Hope you're doing well. If you're watching from home, I've got Josh, Cara, and Dan here, and yeah, our first live stream. So, welcome on board. I guess we want to be helping the community in this, I guess, stressful time for everybody, as we know, with all the chaos that's going on. So, we know one thing that makes everybody feel better, and that's awesome animals. So I've got little Trixie here, who's a long-nosed potteroo. Who have you got, Cara?
I've got Buff. He's a frillneck lizard.
And I've got Matilda, and she's a young Spencer's monitor.
So yeah, we're hoping to bring you lots of our animals over the coming weeks. We're planning on doing little live snippets of our shows. We're going to be doing Meet the Team. We're going to be doing behind-the-scenes tours. So lots of things coming up, so definitely stay tuned. What can you tell us about Matilda?
Well, being a Spencer's monitor, she's one of our bigger goanna species that we've got here in Australia. They come from some really, really harsh, dry, arid environments in northern Australia. And, well, being a goanna, they are a terrifying predator. They've got really big claws, razor-sharp teeth, and a big, thick tail that they'll use to whack predators that might get a bit too close.
All right, so
Or keepers.
little Trixie is a little marsupial, a little long-nosed potteroo. And these guys are really, really critical in the environment. We call them ecosystem engineers because they like to dig around in the soil, disperse the seeds and the fungi spores. They like to feed on mushrooms. And one of their favourite foods is truffles, so they do have quite expensive taste.
And Buff the frillneck lizard here, one of Australia's most famous lizards, of course. Nice big frill around the neck, and no, they do not spit venom, that's just in Jurassic Park, but they do use that frill to try and scare away potential predators, and they are really, really good climbers, so they spend a lot of time up in the trees.
So guys, feel free to jump on the chat, and if you've got any questions, feel free to fire away. Yeah, we're happy to answer any questions and go through that, and also let us know what you'd like to see as well. So yeah, we're basically taking ideas and we'll put that into our plans. Tomorrow we do plan to do a short snippet of our very popular Feathers, Fur and Scales program. So that'll be happening at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So definitely jump on for that. We know that there's a lot of school students now not in schools. So we're hoping to be able to provide some curriculum-based content. And we also have resources as well, so feel free to jump on and ask us where you can access those resources around the curriculum. So we're trying to provide as much content and as many resources for students at the moment as possible, because obviously teachers are going to be under the pump trying to put their resources online so that students can stay up to date. But as we know, it's tricky times. So yeah, it's feels like nature's punished us a little bit and sent us to our bedrooms for being not so well behaved. So yeah, we're now having to, I guess, it might give us some time to think about the environment a little bit more. And obviously, it wasn't so long ago that a large proportion of the country was on fire and we're burning, and it kind of feels like that's just fallen by the wayside and we've almost forgotten about it. So while there's more pressing issues, I guess currently, we don't want to forget that our environment is in a pretty perilous state. So there's still lots that needs to be done in order to protect us against the greatest effects of climate change. So we're obviously all passionate about the environment. We're passionate about these guys, and unfortunately, their numbers are dwindling. So if you looked at the numbers from the recent bushfires, we lost over 1 billion reptiles, mammals and birds. If you incorporated invertebrates into the statistics, scientists guesstimate it's probably more closer to 240 billion animals lost over the recent fire period. So very, very difficult, I guess, number to wrap your head around. But I think off the top of my head, if you were to count to 1 billion, it would take you, was it 240 billion would take you 32 years or something?
Oh, probably something like that,
Yeah. So, yeah, it's pretty staggering. So we really want to protect these guys. There's lots of things that we can do currently to help our wildlife. So if anybody has pet cats at home, where should you keep them, Karen?
Inside.
Yes, so they are a natural predator. We guesstimate there's probably around 25 million cats in the country, consuming 75 million native animals every single night. So the more we can do to prevent that, obviously the better. Any other thoughts, Dan?
Well, funnily enough, long-nosed potoroos are actually one of the species that would have been heavily impacted on by the bushfires, because one of the last real strongholds for them on the mainland was over in eastern Victoria. And so where that's all burnt, little animals like Trixie have actually run out of places to live, as well as a close cousin of theirs called the long-footed potoroo, which is not only critically endangered, is only found out in that portion of eastern Victoria. And so what they're dealing with now is the animals that have survived. Areas that have recently been burnt, cats and foxes have actually been shown to move into these areas because there's no shelter and there's not a lot of food around. So a lot of their prey animals, like potoroos, are going to be out foraging, looking for what little food they can find, and then they slowly get picked off by these introduced predators. So now, more than ever, it's important to keep your cats inside. It's illegal in most parts of the state, if not all of them, for your cat to be out between dusk and dawn. And in some parts now, like in southern Gippsland, it's actually a 24/7 curfew. So your cat being on someone else's property or even outside can get you in big trouble. It's harmful for the cats and it's really harmful for our wildlife. So do your part to look after our local species.
Yeah, so definitely the other benefit is it actually protects your cat as well.
Yeah,
it's not only a benefit for the wildlife, but cats, when they're roaming, potentially get in fights with other cats. They also get run over by vehicles, so it's safer for everybody. So the other issue for wildlife at the moment is there's less vegetation, there's less cover, so there's nowhere for these guys to hide. So that's why they become easy pickings for our introduced predators. So anything that we can do in that regard is fantastic. Obviously, there's a lot of people that have been donating money as well over the period, which is fantastic, supporting groups like WISE and Wildlife Victoria. But also, keep on the lookout for your little local wildlife shelter, because they'll be doing it tough as well. They need supplies, they need equipment. So don't always look to the big guys, look to your little local shelters, because they do a lot of the grunt work and they do it for free. So they do it just because they're passionate about their animals. So keep an eye out for that. All right, so...
Do we have any questions yet?
We do.
Cool.
We do.
So we have a question of, where does Trixie come from in the wild?
Where does Trixie come from in the wild? Good question. Might pass that to Dan.
They are typically, they're from like that wetter bushland forest of southeastern Australia. So it's kind of patchy right up into southeast Queensland, and of course right down into southeastern Victoria. They are also found in the Otways. And they are found in Tassie as well. Tassie's got their own subspecies of long-nosed potoroo. They're actually a little bit more common in Tassie, and they're a little bit bigger, I think. And funnily enough, one of the main reason that they're a lot more common in Tasmania is that Tassie doesn't have foxes. And so a lot of people that go to Tasmania will see things like potoroos and possums and paddy melons and stuff a lot more, because they haven't got that big red brushy-tailed introduced predator whacking their numbers around. When a fox gets spotted in Tassie, they go into lockdown. So that's pretty much her known range now. Would have been a lot more before we started cutting down a lot of that forest to make room for agriculture.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the reasons why, unfortunately, in Tassie we see so much roadkill.
Yeah.
Because they do still have a lot of marsupials, and that's potentially also one of the issues with all the undergrowth. We have less marsupials on the ground consuming the undergrowth, and therefore, the fires burn hotter because there's more fuel on the ground. So because these guys aren't there, and
they rely on the undergrowth as well. They pretty much exist underneath that undergrowth, that bottom story of the forest, running around looking for the mushrooms and the truffles. Where they live, you don't often see them, but scientists will find their poo, they'll find the tracks that they use, and they'll find all the little holes in the ground where they shove that big nose in to grab a truffle. So when we lose the undergrowth and that understory of the forest, we lose species like long-nosed potoroos, and even in northern Victoria, things like squirrel gliders, which need that undergrowth of wattle and stuff like that as a main food source for them.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions, Faye?
Google wants to know if we can have snakes on the stream tomorrow.
Can we have snakes? Oh, I think we could arrange that, Cooper.
I think we can,
We can
absolutely.
squeeze one in, yeah.
I don't
Or
know.
squeeze python.
Yeah.
Make fun.
Pun intended.
We have a few questions actually.
Yeah, cool.
So, how does Boof hold on like that?
Well, Boof here has lovely long claws, he has long toes, and he has very, very strong legs, and he's desperate to hop back on me, so he's really, really good at climbing. He's very, very good. Oh, and Trixie thinks she's a frillneck lizard as well.
We'll also be doing fashion advice during your lockdown.
Absolutely.
Ollie says hello.
Hello, Ollie.
Hi, Ollie.
This is feeling a little bit close for comfort.
Good job.
But why not?
How fast can the lizards run?
Well, frillneck lizards are known to run up to 17 kilometres an hour, and you might have seen footage of frillneck lizards running before. They actually run on their hind legs and move their legs around in a circle motion, so they can run really, really fast, but they do not run on water. And how fast can Matilda run?
I'm
there,
not
Dan?
100% sure in kilometres an hour. I think frillies can get to about 17 kilometres on their back legs, but about to get a demonstration. No, goannas, especially when warmed up, can be very, very fast predators, although they tend to spend a lot more time running on all four legs, and because they can do that for a lot longer. Bipedal motion, running on your back legs like a frillneck can, they can get a decent speed, but they can't do it for that long. Frillnecks can actually do it for a lot longer than other lizards that can do it just because they stand a lot straighter than others. But the goannas, believe me, goannas can move.
Yeah, well,
Don't want to have one chasing you.
particularly a Spencer's monitor that doesn't mind temperatures up into the 40s.
Yeah.
So when they're warm, being a reptile, they have lots of energy. So we have an enclosure outdoors where we put our goannas outside on a sunny day, and you know when they've been sitting in the sun because
You can't get your fingers on.
yeah, they turn into little monsters.
Yep.
Anyway, I might pop Trixie back outside because I think she wants to run around. I might see if I can find you guys something else to have a look at.
Yeah, cool.
There we go.
Any more questions, Faye?
Yes. What does Boof eat?
Boof loves eating bugs. Is he trying to eat my hair at the moment?
No,
Can't eat the hair,
no.
but he loves eating bugs. His favourite is probably crickets and cockroaches. We also feed him a little bit of vegetation just to make sure he's got some nice nutrients, but bugs are definitely his favourite.
Loves his leafy greens, just not as much as his bugs.
Yes.
What are your favourite native animals?
Well, while Dan has a think, my favourite animal of all time is the Australian sea lion, but I'm very, very, very impartial to the possums, particularly the squirrel gliders and the sugar gliders. They are my spirit animals, but yeah, definitely love my seals and sea lions as well. Dan?
It's a very, very difficult question for people that work with wildlife because all we do is work with animals that we love. My favourites are skinks. I love shinglebacks. I really love legless lizards as well. Yellow-tailed black cockatoos. I really love birds of prey. I love pythons. I'm not sure about this one. What we're going to find out. That's that for all.
Here we go, we got a snake for you.
So this is
Is the live stream still going?
Amy number 2, and she's our gorgeous little scrub python. I say little because these guys will get over 6 metres in length, so she's got a bit of growing to do. We haven't actually put a tape on her, but I might see if I can give you an idea of how long she is.
Definitely a couple of metres.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm 1.8 metres tall. I reckon she's got to be over 2 metres long.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 and a
Have a
bit.
look at that. So
Nice and exact.
she is found across the top end of Australia. They're an arboreal snake, so they will climb a lot. They're not the heaviest snake in Australia, which is the olive python, and that's because they need to be lean to be able to climb out on branches, etc. But yeah, she will get a fair bit bigger than this. We had a previous scrub python called Amy, and I think at her heaviest, I think she got up to around 18 kilos.
Yeah, we've got that.
So yeah, they are very sizable snakes. You might be able to hear her hissing a little bit there at the moment because she's being handled. We don't handle these guys all that often because they are a little bit clingy, so it makes it a little bit difficult to do your job. But she is gorgeous. I love the iridescence on her scales, which is pretty cool. So she lives in an enclosure with her partner Hades, and Hades is probably another 50% bigger than she is at the moment.
They do like to cuddle together, sleep on top of each other in little coils. It's very cute.
Hades has sort of put on some size lately because we've been able to progress him onto eating rabbits. So Amy hasn't taken too quickly to rabbits, so it's taking a little bit longer to get size on her.
Yeah, males also get a lot bigger than females. They show a big size difference between the males and the females, bigger than most other pythons. I think old Amy would have been 4-ish.
Maybe
meters,
yeah.
4.35.
4.3. So that's a big female, whereas the males are regularly recorded getting to 5.5, I think, with record. People have kind of said they found them to 8 metres, but that might just be, the fish was this big. But look, they are huge.
Yeah, very, very big. And I think it was a scrub python, when was it, last year, that actually tried to feed on a child up in Queensland that just got out of a swimming pool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There is one recorded death from this species in Australia.
Yeah, generally you're pretty safe with pythons, but obviously it was just doing what
Pythons do.
Instinct took over. So yeah, definitely pythons are not venomous, so it's a bite from this girl's not a risk to me, but she would have pretty big teeth. So, and those teeth are curved and serrated because they're designed to hold on to their prey. So, yeah, we try and avoid that if we can.
Absolutely. Any more questions, Faye?
Yes. Is that a goanna?
Yeah. Is this a goanna?
You have to excuse us, Faye over here's a Kiwi, so
She's got a bit of an accent.
a goanna or...
Yeah.
Goanna.
So, in Australia, we call our monitor lizards goannas. And seeing as I think we've got more monitor species than everywhere else in the world combined, it's pretty much stuck. One of the reasons we think we call them goannas, because originally when settlers got here they thought they were iguanas and they didn't say the word properly. There's also, I think, some indigenous names we use for some of our goanna species as well. I think parenti might actually be an indigenous word.
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is our biggest species of goanna. Spencers are the 4th largest, I think, goes parenti, lacy, yellow spot, Spencers.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Top 3 definitely right.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So yeah, the parentis get up well over 2 metres.
Yeah.
Lace monitors, up to 2 metres.
Yep.
The yellow spots probably 1.5,
Yep.
and your Spencers are probably a bit over a metre.
Yeah, 1.2-ish.
Yeah. So little Matilda here is still quite small.
Yep. Relatively slow growing species, the Spencers as well.
Yeah. And quite stocky because they live on the ground. They're not that great at climbing.
Pretty much the only goanna species, one of the only goanna species we have in Australia that doesn't really like climbing. Most others, like lace monitors, get called tree goannas because the second they panic, they run straight up a tree. Where these guys live out on those black soil plains in northern Australia, there's no trees. If they panic, they can run or they can put up a fight, but there's really not much cover where they live. They live in one of the harshest environments in the country.
What do they eat in the wild?
They eat in the wild, anything they can catch. They are a carnivore. Where they live, they'll be living off things like native rats and other rodents. They'll be eating roadkill. They'll even be eating other reptiles, smaller lizards, smaller goannas. They can even kill and eat venomous snakes. And there's some very venomous snake species where these guys are found.
Are the goannas venomous?
Oh, there's a tough question. They've found chemicals in their saliva that may be what eventually evolved into venom in snakes. As far as I'm aware, that's the current school of thought. Them themselves, they're not technically venomous. It's a very primitive chemical concoction that did eventually evolve into venom. It's obviously stronger in things like the Komodo dragon over in Indonesia, but in Australian species, if you get bitten by a goanna, it's not the venom you've got to worry about, it's the massive lacerations and blood loss from some very, very large and potentially very defensive lizards.
Because a lot of people say they also have dirty mouths.
Yeah. Dirty, not so much. They do have bacteria and stuff in their saliva that can help to kind of infect and break down their prey. Also, when you're eating roadkill, it's not the cleanest thing you can be eating. Some dead roo that's been on the side of the road for 2 weeks. But you don't want to get bitten. That's the number one thing, is if it's a goanna, any animal you probably don't want to, but with a goanna you're going to know about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we bit an animal, we'd probably make it pretty sick as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Don't bite your animals.
No.
Any more questions, Faye?
What do scrub pythons eat in the wild?
What do scrub pythons eat in the wild? Good question. So, being an arboreal snake, they're obviously climbing up around the trees, so you imagine they'd be feeding on birds and possums, bats, flying foxes. They're uber quick, so they would sit and wait for the prey to come to them, strike out, grab it out of the tree, and then they would swallow it whole.
Cool.
How many young would they have?
How many young would... Well, it would depend on the size of the female, but being quite a large python, around 20 in a clutch probably wouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Yeah.
Depends on the feeding conditions, the temperatures, the condition of the mum, all that sort of things. But 20 would be a decent estimate.
Yeah. So we haven't bred our scrub pythons yet, but maybe in a year or two, Amy will probably be ready to breed. So
Fingers crossed.
That's what we need, another 20 on.
if Hades agrees.
Sure he won't have a problem.
We have another question. Can Book drop his tail when he's scared?
He cannot. So some lizards, like skinks and geckos, can drop their tails. The tail wriggles around while the lizard escapes. But he is a species of dragon lizard, and if he gets his tail bitten off, he can regrow it. Maybe not to the full length, but just enough to keep that tail usable, because they do use their tail for balancing while they're climbing and when they're running fast.
So what would he do instead as a defence?
To defend himself, he uses that frill, opens it up, hisses, tries to make himself look big and scary. If that doesn't work, he runs in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Very quickly.
Very, very quickly. What else do we have, Faye?
We have, what species have we successfully bred?
At Reptile Encounters.
Many.
Spotted marsh frogs. About 800 of them currently.
Yeah.
What else we put? Frillneck lizards. Buff is our resident stud. The
Yeah.
reason why we've had upwards of 30 frillnecks at some point in time. Central
Yeah.
blue, central bearded dragons. What else have we put?
Spinally stick insects.
Oh yeah.
Long-nosed potoroos, brush-tailed bettongs,
Yes.
rufous bettongs, sugar gliders, squirrel gliders.
Dunnarts.
Grey-headed flying fox.
Yeah, grey-headed flying foxes. Our fruit bats have had babies.
Fat-tailed dunnarts. Turtles, little eastern long-necked turtles.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of brush-tailed bettongs,
who have we got here?
this is Mac, and he is a brush-tailed bettong, also known as a woylie. How old's Mac now?
He's 4
4
months
months.
old.
Yeah, 4 months old, and he'll get twice as big as what he is now. Yes. Food size for Amy here. She doesn't seem to know, so we're good. And he's so cute. We'll probably do some little live stream zoomies of Mac sometime in the near future, so stay tuned. Watching
What
these
do you mean
guys.
by zoomy?
Well, Mac really loves his exercise, particularly first thing in the morning. Runs full speed all around Reptile Encounters HQ, and it's just the best fun. So I reckon we'll give you guys a sneak peek of some zoomies soon.
Awesome. And any other questions, Faye? Yep.
No, that's all.
All right.
Well done. Beautiful.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We will be back at 11 a.m. tomorrow, so that's Wednesday the 25th of March. Join us for a sneak peek at our Feathers, Fur and Scale show.
11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Please spread the word. Tell your friends. Jump on. Definitely, if you've got any questions that come up in the meantime, feel free to jump on our website. You can send any questions through the contact form there. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and also if you're looking for some more videos, they're on YouTube. So yeah, look up Reptile Encounters on YouTube and you'll find some videos there as well. So stay safe, guys, and we look forward to seeing you soon.